right, good. So, without further ado, co-founder, Team Esface coach, and Esface visionary coach Tunde Sobomehin. So my job is to give you the history of Team Esface and the roots of it. And I did this once before. So you know Coach Dele got high standards. So this was probably not good enough the first time. So here we go, second time. All right, so what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you stand up real quick. Stand up real quick. I want you to find a partner.
Okay, you're ready.
And we're gonna do a little acting. We'll do a little acting, okay? Here's the job. Here's the job. You're going to act like you are playing, you have just got done playing in the biggest game of your life. I mean, this is the one that really matters. It's the championship, it's the national, it's the regional, it's the CCS, and your partner is your very best player. It's your best friend and player on the team. And you two just got done making the game-winning pass and shot to win that championship. And when I count to 3, you're gonna act like the game just ended and you celebrate. 1, 2, 3. Now, there were some parents that were celebrating harder than players. I'll just say that. The sister in the back with the jean shirt, she was out. Ty was lifting up kids. That was illegal. You know, I mean, it just was like there was some good energy. So this is how I felt, and this is how I feel. Because none of us have played a game yet, but it already feels like there's a championship going on. And the championship that I feel is with my brother in the hat right here, the parent that you holding up that paper. Go ahead and hold that paper up. That paper right there, to me, feels like a championship. And when I walked in a few minutes ago with my son Ty after we took a 2-hour drive to Burbank Airport, mistake, I got to see that paper, and that felt like a championship to me. Because what Dele has poured years, and his team has poured years and years of effort into, I'm lucky enough that I got to see like the very roots of it. And that's my job, is to kind of share with you those roots. We talk about 15 years, but it's gonna go back even further. And I'm gonna look at some of these notes. So Coach Dele talked about, I'm 2 years older than him. It's hard to talk about anything with Esface or anything that we're doing without talking about our first step to the long lineage that brought us to the world. And that comes with my Nigerian immigrant father who, Dele has been to, and I took my family to a couple of years ago, the dirt roads and the dirt floor and the no electricity village that my father came from. At the same time, he was given this spirit from that village and from his family that he could do anything. Anywhere in the world he could go, and he's literally traveled the world and traveled across the world with my mom, and had myself, Dele, and 2 other boys. My mother, who's white American, right down the street in San Diego, she came from a family who were educators, people who were extremely generous, people who cared about youth and cared about other people, and so she had this seed in her heart that was about giving and generosity. And so my parents had that kind of combination of, you go ahead and do whatever you can do in the world, and you can think big, and make sure that you have some element of generosity, some element of kindness, and that's what we're raised with. That's what we saw. Those were the values that were really early on placed in us. And so we were a very tight-knit group. We were 4 boys. We were very tight-knit. I think we've shared some stories before. Some of y'all may know, we fought together. I still remember the time when I was the oldest brother, but I was the smallest brother when it came to a time. And so at one point, I wish we got some photos in here, but I wish I had a photo. Dele had literally like a 6-pack was literally like a Calvin Klein model. This was probably at 12 years old. And so I remember I could beat him up until, we got to one. I think I was maybe 14. He was like 12, and I pushed him. He pushed me. I won't go into the whole detail, but I ended up on my back. And that was the stage when I knew I couldn't just physically muscle at my brothers at that time. So we were close. We fought hard, but we also played very hard together. We also rallied behind each other. We went everywhere together, and we traveled as a group, right? And so when I came out here to Stanford University, I wanted to bring them with me. I wanted to bring the whole family with me. I wanted to bring those values with me. And eventually some of that worked, right? Dele came out here and helped make this Bay Area another place where we could go. My youngest brother came out here, helped make that a little more of a place where we all went. And we carried those same values that we had in Portland, we brought them here. And so the very first element, so this is going to be 3 chapters. That was the intro you just heard. I got about 8 minutes to give you 3 chapters. Chapter 1 of the Team Esface story is called Esface Designer Cuts Unlimited. And what happened was, in addition to being sort of athletic and play together team, we were very entrepreneurial growing up. We did everything we could to try to make some money. We were buying our own stuff when we were 10, 12 years old. And so we came out here and I would cut hair. I would sell futons, I would sell refrigerators, all kinds of things. And in the haircutting, we called it Shobo Shop. And when Dele came out here to Santa Clara, he too was cutting hair. So we were cutting hair, Santa Clara and Stanford, and we had this thing called Shobo Shop. A friend of ours was also cutting hair, and he called his shop Stallion Styles. So one day, my friend Johnny and I, who was another co-founder of Esface, we were sitting at a table at lunchtime and took out a napkin, and we started saying, man, we need to collaborate. Stallion Styles and Shobo Shop needs to collaborate. So we wrote down Stanford, Shobo Shop, Stallion Styles collaboration. We thought, okay, that's a long name. So we wrote out 5 S's and a C. And then we were like, well, we wanted to have the logo right, so we put the S and the 5 in the middle and then C. And so it was S5C. So we said it fast, and my guy Johnny is hilarious. He's a very creative brother. He said, nah, Esface, that sounds so good. So you say the S5C 5 times fast and you get Esface. So we got Esface. We said, man, that's amazing. So we said, you know what, we're now going to label our barbershop the Esface Designer Cuts Unlimited. And that was the first chapter. So we would cut hair, and it became like a big event. Every Thursday night, we had this thing called Dump Off Thursday. People would come to the lounge, and we would cut hair. We would set up a TV, and we would start talking about politics, and we would talk about civil rights. We would talk about basketball. We would talk about, Richard Pryor's comedy, and we would just have a blast. And so that became where we wanted to have more expression with Esface. And we knew Esface was more than just cut hair, but we wanted to kind of seed ideas and be a community. And that is where chapter 2 started. Chapter 1 was called what? Who remembers? Esface Designer Cuts Unlimited. That was the chapter 1. Remember, I'm trying to do this the better time, the second time. Chapter 2 is called Esface. And Esface started becoming more than just cut hair. We started making t-shirts. And, we started selling t-shirts. And these t-shirts had to do with cut hair, but they promoted sort of the values that we wanted. So we used things like, think outside the box. We would have a box haircut. Or live life on the edge, and we would have the edge lined up. Or we would stay on point. And at that point, people's sideburns came to a point. We would have all these kind of sayings to represent, to blend hair and culture. Hair and positive culture. And so we were selling t-shirts across it. Then we started doing 3-on-3 tournaments. We would host 3-on-3 tournaments on campus. And so this second idea of Esface was birthed, and that was called Education and Service through Fashion, Athletics, Community, and Entertainment. And so that was me and Coach Dele selling t-shirts. That was our selling t-shirt phase. You know, and that's us getting locked in and sell t-shirts, and that was what we were doing. And so we got, in this realm, this chapter, we brought 5 people together. We call them the Fab Five to co-found this idea of this next layer of Esface, which was education and service through fashion, athletics, community, and entertainment. We wanted to blend those things, and the mission was actually very powerful. I hold it. Dele doesn't use it for Esface, so I stole it and made it my personal mission. So my personal mission is to make popular culture positive, so positive culture can be popular. That was the idea. We wanted to take the face of popular culture, fashion, athletics, community, entertainment, and we wanted to do something positive with it, which we called education and service. So that became, so we changed the name, the meaning of the name Esface, which originally was S5C, to this acronym that promoted the values and the mission that we wanted to put out in the world. And that was the 5 that made it happen. These are all doctors now, and lawyers and entrepreneurs and PhD folks and all that stuff. So, but they went on to do other things. And in this chapter of Esface, we had some pretty highlights, right? One of them was in 2007, 2008, when Barack Obama was making a run for the presidency, we really got behind his candidacy and took it around the world. This is, I don't know, y'all are too young, the players are too young, and some of the parents, you have to be really in it to know. BET's 106 and Park. This was Terrence, this is the host of BET. This was a internationally publicized TV show, and he was rocking the Obama shirt that we created with Esface. That's a couple of our shirts that's Dele at the inauguration. That's I'm cold, but I'm trying to sell shirts face. That's Guapole rocking the shirt. I don't know if she won a Grammy, but she's a renowned music performer. So these are some of the ideas. And so around 2010, I've since graduated. One of the things that I did in college was to walk on the state basketball team. And so part of, in 2010, after we had done the fashion, and after we had done a lot of community events, and after we did all this, Dele took over as CEO probably around 2007. Dele led the fashion movement. He made it a really successful venture. And then he was looking at the data. He could tell his side of the story, but my side, remember, he was looking at the data and made a business case look, we need to really focus and hone in on one element of this to change popular culture, to make our impact. I don't know if we could keep doing fashion, athletic, community until we were literally pressing shirts, traveling across the country, trying to sell them off the trunk, trying to also run, basketball. And Dele started saying, he had this vision, look, I want to do this through basketball. And so this last chapter that I want to tell you, chapter one was Esface Designer Cuts Unlimited. That was just cutting hair, kind of student entrepreneurs. Then the next one was this bold vision of popular culture positive, where Esface was an acronym for education and service through fashion, athletic, community, and entertainment. And then when Dele said, I want to really focus in on that, we got to this current chapter, where we're celebrating 15 years of this current chapter. And in 2010, Dele had this team, this very successful AAU team. He poured a lot into it. He was very successful on and off the court. And that sort of rallied a lot of other teams. I remember at the height, we had 22 AAU teams. It was really popping, and Dele was really taking this thing to the next level. But the last thing I'll say, before I pass it back and end this history lesson, is that you can still see some of the elements of education and service through fashion, athletic, community, and entertainment in Team Esface. Can anybody raise their hand, any player raise their hand and see how they can see those elements in Team Esface right now? Any coach? How do they see it? Miles, how you see it? Go ahead, Todd.
Through positive coaching. As a parent, I feel good about my son interacting with any of the coaches. that coaches aren't using common language, they're not just treating players. And so I see that positive piece.
That positive piece is still in there in the coaching. Todd said, I can trust my son with any of the coaches. We're not using foul language. And that's not just because we roll the balls out. That's like a lot of intentionality, a lot of effort, a lot of thought, a lot of prayer, a lot of discipline that that Coach Deli and the coaches and his circle have poured into that. So that's one element. Any other element?
I really appreciate how whenever another team member on the opposite team falls down, one of our guys is always helping them up. And I think that positive approach is kind of missing in basketball in general. All the dumping on people, stuff like that. I appreciate that.
No, I have to hold back. I'm telling my players to step over them, Allen Iverson style. But no, we got to do the Esface way, and we got to pick them back up. No, and you're right, because community is more important than that. Some of these players that we play against will be, those are going to be friends in college one of these days. Those are going to be people that we may be teammates in the next team or the future team. So I think it's a right-on approach to sort of approach it in that community perspective. This is, to me, community. Like bringing people together like this and having events like this. I was hoping y'all would say the fashion, because to me, I think Team Esface is the best dressed on the West Coast. I really did that.
The fashion.
The fashion. Thank you.
You know what? I think they're the best dressed on the West Coast.
I think the best dressed on the West Coast. I like that. I'm gonna take your words. I was hoping we were gonna go with the country, because I haven't seen a team that got the country. Thank you. And so we carry that over. We carry all these we're not cutting hair yet, but maybe that will come in. So we just carried over these elements, and so I think the 15 years is a testament, to the history. I'm really honored to be able to share. I think Dele is really kind to allow me to speak to some of this, because it really is a lot of the work that he's been at. I've got to see a couple of the moments where he's really focusing on where's it going to be, right? COVID, I know that was a big moment. Where are we going to be? How are we going to do this? I know when teams happen and teams evolve, what's that going to happen? When parents leave or players are not having a good time, right? This is really where Dele is really putting a lot of time solo by himself, talking to other folks, really trying to make sure that it can be something that we're celebrating today. And so when I'm looking on there and I'm saying, wow, look at them 45 college players that have come out of Team Esface. 7,500, I think that's the number of athletes that have been reached. It's just really powerful. So thank you for letting me share, and I hope we have a really good tournament. That this won't be the only championship we're celebrating. It's the 15 years of Team Esface, and we have some more in a couple of days. Thank y'all.